the turning cycle that we go through is like the next great thing is going to be like all of the apathy happens when we've like hit the hash horizon and like Mars is well colonized and like the Martians are fucking pissed that like they don't get to meaningfully participate in the Bitcoin economy and that like they're fucked over just because they're outside of the hash horizon. And like it's going to be Drew Banzel's whole Mars coin theory playing out, and it's going to be about an interstellar war between the Martians and Earth, and that Earth has gotten fat and lazy on the fact that like they have the Bitcoin standard and that everything operates pretty smoothly, and they get to extract resources not only from Mars but from the Belt and Mercury and other places, and that like they just have a money that works, and so it's going to be pretty wild. But like the other thing to appreciate is that like the future is so wide because like we have no understanding of how far we've been set back. And like the thing I'm more excited than anything about is like unfucking the money unfucks a bunch of stuff, and like unfucking the development of general human thought and action is so important. And one of the things that blows my mind is thinking about I forget what podcast it was on, but Eric Weinstein pointed out, he was like, if I had $10 million just to do development around physics, he was like, I guarantee I'd be making breakthroughs within 3 to 5 years. And like, we've lost out on that in so many places. I've been looking at like early aeronautics experiments, and it was literally bicycle mechanics that just like kept pushing themselves forward that became like the first dudes to make planes and start flying them. And like, you can't do any of that shit today because of the regulatory environment. And like, what if people were all able to just like fuck around with rocketry and rail cannons and all kinds of shit? And I think when we get back to a Bitcoin standard, the way that logic will start actually pushing itself to the forefront of all forms of development is really going to break out all kinds of shit. And that's so exciting to me. Not to mention, like, geographically, how different is the world going to get distributed now that, like, we can just develop energy infrastructure fucking anywhere. So, like, there's no reason that, like, the interior of Alaska doesn't have megalopolises, or, you know, that out in Tierra del Fuego, there isn't, like, new archipelagical developments that are going, like, there's all kinds of shit to be done. And it's really fucking exciting, particularly if you're coming in from, like, nihilistic, darkness, hopeless fiat land. And so, like, I don't know. This is the place that I feel really good about it. And it's great to talk with you guys because, like, you go back out into normie land, like, particularly here in fucking Liberaltopia, and they're like, oh, it's the worst thing that's ever happened. And I'm not sure, you guys might hear in the background, it sounds like seals, but it's actually just the wailings of liberals.
No, Ross Stevens had a great example of like you can think of a rural waterfall in Africa somewhere that has, there's no reason for anybody to go there, but if you put hydropower there and you start running a Bitcoin mine there, suddenly you have an energy resource, and then you're uploading to Starlink or whatever, and then you have a town that forms around this energy resource, and suddenly it's like, a couple hundred years on in the future, like Erik said, you have a megalopolis in the middle of rural Africa where this water source was, where before there was nothing. So there's all these untapped resources that we haven't even gotten to yet.
But Bitcoin wastes energy. I saw that green people. Oh, just the fucking retards with like not. And then I'm like, oh wow, you're like an expert in energy policy. Like, what do you think we should do with negatively priced energy? And they're like, huh? But what? And I'm like, oh, like with you having such strong opinions about Bitcoin and knowing how it wastes energy, I thought maybe you knew something about how energy markets function. But you don't, do you? Maybe you should shut the fuck up and do some homework before you have an opinion about this shit. Oh, it pisses me off. Like, you can read and, like, put thoughts together. Why don't you do that? Oh, because you like being poor and being a slave because it's easier than needing to fucking make real decisions about your life and taking risks on things. That's like the embarrassing truth is like most people are too fucking afraid to ever take a chance on anything. Like that's the one that really pisses me off is I give people all the homework, they get close to it and they're like, I don't know, it like seems like a big risk. And I'm like, you drove your fucking car here and you trusted all the other shitheads on the road not to drive directly into you. Like, that's a risk in and of itself, dipshit. Life is a risk. Fucking take it or be the goddamn slave they've designed you to be. But I'm sure we both know you already made that fucking decision. Or had it made for you more accurately. Sorry, I'm in a bad mood.
Hey man, this is a safe space. You got like, again, not the bullshit kind of safe space that the whaling seal liberals behind you would like. It's like a real one where you can rant freely. But, yeah. Okay, this is just slightly sidebar. Do you think we're fucking done? Are we at a point now where we can be done with the Bitcoin waste energy thing? Because of like now you at least are starting to see some like literature come around, or do you think it's just still gonna like that's just gonna recycle every time?
Yeah, I mean, there will be people who are always upset about it. I think the most cover we have from it is actually not intrinsic to Bitcoin, but is the AI thing, because AI is using a fucking ass fuck ton of energy. And, you know, if AI is allowed to use an ass fuck ton of energy, then so are we, goddammit. It's like, I mean, it's a pretty easy. It was always stupid, by the way. And by the way, they hit every new technology with the energy argument. So, email had to run the energy argument when it first was, you know, being popularized in the early 90s, and people were saying, well, it uses so much more energy than the post office to send a single email. Why would you do that? Blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, humanity. By the way, let's get this through our heads, liberals. Okay, human flourishing is dependent on increasing energy usage. Pretty simple. Just let's get that one in there. Let's put that in the head and let's remember it, okay? Stop trying to fucking kill all the people on the planet, you Malthusian piece of shit, and then have us all ride bicycles or something, which we're not going to do. And also, we're never using solar panels. Sorry. We're doing nuclear, bro. We need way more power than solar panels will provide. We'll do a little bit of solar panels, like 5. But mainly it's going to be nuclear. Yeah.
This is all ideological at this point in time. Like, I guarantee in the next 4-year cycle, like you simply saying Bitcoin, like they will literally be like, oh, like you're a far right fascist, and it's like you don't even know what these words mean. And yes, you're right. It's not fascism, but it's something totally new. But yeah, it turns out that like fuck your democracy. I want nothing to do with you in a political system because you're far too fucking stupid to make any meaningful choice. And like that's what the last decade was about. Like we tried your wacky asinine bullshit that has nothing to do with truth and is just about route Marxism. And like let's be clear, like this isn't even Marxism. This is like a very contorted, fucked up, like half aborted thing that you guys call Marxism. And like it's really infuriating because like Marxism actually like had some good logical points, which is why it was like a successful forerunner to the communist movement. But like all of this like post-Stalinist shit that you guys call Marxism, like it's just retarded. And it's really infuriating that you believe it because of the feelings that it gives you. And like to be clear, like these are all feelings that were indoctrinated from you from kindergarten based on a whole bunch of bullshit. And with that being said, like, you can't even remember the first principle in kindergarten where they're like, you shouldn't steal other people's shit. Like, that's not okay. Like, you shouldn't like, the other big one is you shouldn't use violence against people that don't disagree with you. Like, that's another big one that you should really consider more. So anyways, yeah, we're totally going to, now we just need to, like, dispose of this, like, Republican right part and, like, make our own new tech far-right movement that's, like, about its own thing. And I'm really excited for that. So when we get that going, like, somebody send me a memo because I'm definitely participating in that because, like, I'm really excited about, like, using that to get our political objectives accomplished.
I will run for president when we get that figured out. Let's do that.
Sweet. I mean, all right. So
you got my vote. I'm in. I'm sold. I'm sold.
So the Orange Party, like, what are we? Is it just the Orange Party? Maybe that's it.
Pretty dope. I like it.
It's clean, right? Like, it's. I'm here for it. I mean, do you think?
And by the way, like we're gonna sweep with this because like everyone is ready for this. Everyone is hungry for it. We're just like we just had the bust out of the Overton window and make sure that we defeated the communists this round. But like you know, next round it's gonna be pretty exciting because it'll be clear how fucked it is.
I think this idea is actually hanging out there. I was listening to the New York Times did an interview with Curtis Yarvin recently, and if you don't know Yarvin, he's like a far right thinker who basically believes that America needs a CEO or a monarch that sort of acts like a CEO, and we need to run America more like a startup or whatever. And that's very similar to the idea that Erik is putting out there. And I think that a lot of people kind of want just like an efficient government that works for them. People don't want authoritarian control. They want something that looks much more like an American CEO than an American dictator. But people do want an efficient government that's working for them, and not this, hopeless morass we find ourselves in with this deep state bureaucracy that does who knows what for God knows what reasons, and seemingly puts us in a state of anarcho tyranny where the state is powerless to help you. Oh, your daughter got killed by a fucking Venezuelan migrant. Oh, sorry, but is not powerless to harm you. Oh, you forgot to do your Venmo transactions. Well, you have $3,700 here, jail for 9 years, right? And it's like, okay, that's just an untenable state that we can't have people living within, and it needs to find a way to fix itself at some point.
Well,
Like,
also,
does it fix itself though? Like, can it fix itself, or does it only get fixed by external pressure from a parallel system like Bitcoin?
I'll let Eric go because I know he has a lot of thoughts on this. But like, to me personally, it's like I would rather stick with the republic that brung us. But like, if you study Rome, like republics fall to empires. So I don't know, man. I'm just hanging on here, trying to see what happens.
we can definitely reform the republic, but like it needs a radical movement, and like people need to be fucking angry, and they like need to remember their hatred for like how fucking asinine this is. Like this isn't like, gee golly, I wish this was different. It's like you should be fucking screaming and outraged at how fucking stupid all of this is. Like these people literally steal from you and exploit you every fucking day in and out around the most stupid asinine shit, while meanwhile their friends are literally participating in pedophile parties and getting away with the most disgusting and ludicrous crime. Like, the fucking president of the United States for the last 4 years just pardoned every fucking member of his family. Like, it is so absurd. Like, we should be fucking hunting these people down and murdering them instead of being like, oh, well, I guess that's just how the political system works. Like, you got fucked. And instead of you, like, you're trying to be like, well, no, it wasn't rape because, like, I wasn't wearing my burqa. Like, no, you just got raped consecutively, repeatedly, and you convinced yourself that that shit was okay because what, you live in the UK and was told that that's what's allowed now? Like, no, we're fucking American. We're not supposed to allow for ourselves to get gang raped by fucking migrants.
Dude,
but if you're in the UK, like, hey, like, I'm not trying to be racist. Like, that's like a cultural thing you guys like to do. So
I was watching the inauguration. I was watching the inauguration this morning, and the Archbishop whoever was giving a fucking prayer about how we're all unified under God, etc. And I was, looking at Bill Clinton, who was like 3 rows back, noted pedophile, Epstein Island frequenter Bill Clinton is like right there, and it's like, we're just pretending this guy doesn't fuck teenagers. Like,
it's insane though. Like, it's literally like it's the constant flaunting that, as much as they like to say that no one is above the law, it's like, but you obviously are. Like
Yeah.
you're saying no one is above. Like that's the with all this Biden family pardoning shit. It's just so absurd because, like, have you seen like any of the, like, people put together some nice like montage clips of like either like Biden or like everyone in the legacy media, the Chris Hayeses of the world being like, well, if you're pardoning someone before they've committed a crime, isn't that basically admitted that they've actually already been committing crimes? And then you see this now, and it's like, what? You remember those things you said, but like apparently all the people who deify you are just like have the memory of goldfish and just forgot this, and there's not even an inkling in their brains of like, maybe actually we're not the good guys. It's like that meme that like, like, are we the baddies? Like, it's insane that we put up with this, and that people are just apparently, most of them, fine with going along with it and seeing, somebody like a fucking Bill Clinton just chilling in the back there being like, yep, I'm a disgusting human being who was on Epstein Island, but don't worry, it's okay because I'm with her and her is my wife. So I don't know. It just blows my mind.
The corruption will make your head spin because it's so brazen. Like you said, it's so brazen. It's so in your face. It's just like, yeah, we're above the law. We do what we do, and we can never be brought to justice for it. And it kind of doesn't matter which side it is. I mean, sometimes people think, because I was campaigning for Trump, people are like, oh, Hodl's just a fucking MAGA Trump guy, fucking he's stupid, MAGA tard, blah blah blah. And it's like, no, dude, I just listen. There are problems that are worse than Trump, and those problems were named Kamala Harris, right? Like, so, like, I didn't want a bunch of violent communists running our society. We now have a lesser problem, which is we have a used car salesman con artist running our society, and that's that's fine, I guess. It's not ideal. Is anything really ideal? No, it's not ideal. Like, we're working with what we got here. Shit is held together with fucking popsicle sticks and glue, and we're not really like sure how if we're gonna make it over this bridge. Remember when you had to build a bridge out of popsicle sticks in like science class or whatever? Like, I don't know if the American bridge is gonna hold, you know. So
I was
yeah,
homeschooled actually, so I never did any of your communist bridge building experiments.
yeah.
But
You missed out. It was
I have
fun.
heard of them. Yeah,
It was
yeah,
fun.
I have heard of them. I was busy starting fires and playing with knives and stuff, which
I was starting
was
fires too,
cool.
but they were, social fires by being disruptive and cluttered.
Burning down a fellow comrade's popsicle bridge just to show him there's no retreat.
It's funny. I've talked to a few friends because like I homeschool my kids and like it's pretty unstructured at this point, and like there's parts of me that like I'm like, oh man, like am I like fucking my kid up by doing and like like my son's reading like I don't know like 5 grade levels above where he should be or something. Like he just like eats books, I'm like, but I got him like a like pretty sophisticated like AI tutor program that has like everything he can do. And so I was like, oh, like what is he doing? He was like teaching himself like base 58 coding, and I was like, what the fuck is going on?
That's never gonna happen in public school. Never.
Yeah,
No,
like I was like,
dude,
why are you doing this? Who's super interesting? And I was like, what the
that's fucking
fuck?
awesome. Like that's
It
that's
is.
amazing though. Like
Well, it was funny because like a year ago, I talked to Daniel Prince, and because he like he homeschooled all his kids. They're pretty old. He was like, look, like don't like doing nothing is like really fucking good. He was like, your real
yeah.
job is to like keep them away from the indoctrination that like makes them retarded and innate and like incapable of doing anything. And I was like, really? Like that's it? He was like, yeah, that's like 90% of the job. And like lo and behold, he's right. And like all that I really do is it's like I check it. I'm like, hey, like what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm like building this like race car. I like took it apart. I'm like putting it back together. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, do you need parts? And he's like, yeah, I could use like a soldering kit. And I'm like, cool. Like, all right. So like
Dude,
the lesson
that's
is
awesome.
like don't put your kids in public school. Because like the other thing is like your kid and like I have friends who like their kids have came home and they like say like really crazy shit to them. Of like the founding fathers were just like a bunch of racists who like hated black people, and it's like, well, what? Like, who? Could you tell me more? And they're like, yeah, that's why they're all white, obviously. And it's like, got some work here to do. So,
Perfect
I mean,
child.
and like,
Yeah.
and again, like this is one of the other things about Bitcoin that's really important is that like it turns out when you can actually like save a little bit of fucking money and that like increases in its saving power versus decreases, like maybe you and your partner could have a conversation about like somebody taking a little bit more time off. So like instead of you having to hire and use the state babysitting service called school, like you can actually educate your children about what your guys' values are and how you believe that you guys should operate in the world rather than let somebody who has never had children and has dyed their hair purple as a statement about who and what they are, educate your children about that. And like not to hate on dyeing your hair, but it's like it's unfortunate to me that like that's now a political statement that like you think that I don't know, it's fucked up.
You know what that you know what
And I'm
that
sad about it.
you know what that means now? It means I conform. Having
Yeah.
tattoos and piercings and purple hair, basically looking like a punk rocker from like the late 70s, early 80s means I'm a hardcore conformist. That's what it means, which is pretty hilarious.
It is not counterculture in any way now. Like it is just
No,
literally
it's mainstream culture. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a really easy signal to pick out. And again, like
Counterculture especially like with young men, counterculture has become like being the opposite of everything that the crazy cat lady teacher is. So, your crazy cat lady teacher has purple hair and fucking, tattoos all over herself and piercings. Well, you're going to be totally straight laced, no tattoos, crew cut, go to church, and then she's going to be like, America's foundationally like woke and we should get religion out of schools. And you're going to be like, Christ is king, because that's the only way to rebel. So it's actually kind of like hilarious to watch that. It's come full circle, right? It's like when we were kids, you rebelled in the opposite way, and now, during the Bush era or whatever, and now you rebel, by being a trad conservative.
Well, and
So
like the
weird.
the backlash that's gonna come from this, like, really blows my fucking mind. It's like you have taken the most capable, able-bodied segment of the population, and you have isolated, harassed, and diminished them. And when like they figure out that like everything you've told them is a fucking lie and that you've disenfranchised them, like specifically around the shit that like you disenfranchise them specifically because of their sex and specifically because of the color of their skin, like they're gonna be fucking mad.
Yeah.
And like when they get together with other guys and start like drinking a bit, like you got a real fucking problem on your hands. And like, welcome to the far right tech party. Like, come along. Like, we want to celebrate you and help you out. Like, here's a bunch of tools to help you out and organize yourself. Because like, you guys are actually empowered individuals that should be celebrating that Christ is King and reforming your local government, your state government, and your national government in order to enact the values that you believe in and are entitled to because you're the able-bodied, powerful one. And like. And I just want to be clear, like, I really support, like, my body, my choice. And that's why, like, I shouldn't be fucking drafted and that women shouldn't have any say in that. It's absolutely insane to me that, like, I can go die for my country. So, like, let's just scrap that. Because, like, again, I respect your body, your choice. Let's respect my body, my choice. If you want to go get murdered in Ukraine because we continue this bullshit, thank God Trump's going to end that shit, too. Like the fact that we gave... Like, how much money did we give to Ukraine? It was like $500 billion, something like that.
It's
Wasn't that
been
like
an
twice the
absurd
amount that like
amount.
the 2008 bailout was? That we just like gave, we just like gave them to our country.
We also gave them basically all of our old military supply, and it was the thing I kept hearing from people that never made sense to me is like,
But he's
this is a
liberal.
good deal for us. They kept saying this is a good deal for us. Like, we're getting rid of our old supply, and then we're able to get new supply, and we're bleeding one of our adversaries or whatever. And it's like you're hollowing out that country. You're hollowing it out of all of its young, talented men. And what is going to be left there? Even if they win the war, it's going to be a Pyrrhic victory because what will be left other than sex traffickers, drug traffickers, the worst elements of society. There's
and all the rich mayors, all the rich like politicians' sons who all fled the country into Romania in their super nice cars with
sex trafficking rings. Yeah,
yeah, right. Like it's insane. Well, and that's the messed up thing is it's like oh, we're getting a good deal out of this. It's like the we that is getting a good deal is the military industrial complex. Like we as Americans are not getting any good deal out of this. The flower of Ukraine's and Russia's youth is not getting a good deal out of this. They're fucking dying in the most horrific possible ways. The only ones who are getting a good deal out of this are the politicians who are getting nice kickbacks and heavily invested in the military industrial complex. And like, so there is no we there unless you are one of those politicians. Then like, great, you've run a beautiful grift that has cost countless lives and enriched yourself under the guise of somehow like democracy and like, it's just insane.
By the way, they don't actually take away everything that they say because they don't actually want to win this war. What they want is for this war to go on indefinitely because, like Julian Assange said, the point is to wash the money out of the American and European tax bases into the hands of a transnational security elite. That's the point. And they deal in blood in order to enrich themselves. I mean, they are literally like sending, more young men to the slaughter every day on the front lines. Brave, patriotic young men who like are the best of us really because they show up and do that when, they otherwise wouldn't want to. I mean, did you see there was a video of a Russian and a Ukrainian knife fighting to death? It was about 7 minutes long. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I made the point to a bunch of people.
The fact you can just see this shit on the internet now is fucking insane.
Dude, I made the point to a bunch of people that if you support the Ukrainian war effort, and a bunch of people said they did, I said, you should go watch this 7-minute video, 2 guys knife fighting each other to death. And they were like, well, I don't want to watch that. And it's like, you're supporting this. This is what you support. So
well,
you should
I didn't think it would be that bad.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, look, and like on the other half is like now with this streaming directly on Nostr, like there's actually like a free and open platform to like have real conversations about this shit. Like I was really excited to see Ian Carroll's like on Nostr now because like he's actually like approaching some of this stuff and like it's hilarious because he's just like, hey guys, there seems to be like all of this money and connection to like Israel and like all these Israelis are like, you're an anti-Semite and a Nazi, and he's like all I'm literally doing is just pointing out that like there seems to be a strange relationship to how much money is making its way into the hands of Israelis, who do, for all intents and purposes, seem to be conducting a genocide against the Palestinian people. And they're like we said, you're a fucking Nazi, and it's like, look, guys, like I just don't fucking understand how we got to this place that like you support killing in any way. Like it's so ludicrous to me. And like this is what brought me to Bitcoin in the first place. It was like during Occupy Wall Street, I was like, the money's obviously the fucking problem. And I'm really angry because like I don't want to support any war. Like I had the fortunate experience when I was younger to go travel through a number of war zones and meet a bunch of people who like just had their fucking limbs blown off when they were children because they had the unfortunate consequence of wandering into an American minefield. And like this happened over and over and over and over again. And I remember sitting one night in fucking my hostel in Cambodia just fucking crying. Because, like, I literally had 30 kids chasing me who most of them were missing their fucking limbs from American munitions. And I was so traumatized by that fucking experience that when I finally found this Bitcoin thing and, like, I just put it all together, I was like, wait a minute. Like, this is an actual money that these people can't fucking control. There's a real opportunity to use this thing to fight that gigantic fucking war machine. And then you get my favorite though is we get the like, well, that actually, like Bitcoin can't. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like you have no solution whatsoever other than sitting in your chair, like typing away on Reddit at night because you think you're right. And your head is so far up your own fucking ass that you can't even stop for a minute to go, maybe these insane Bitcoin people actually have a point. Maybe there really is a real potential for this thing to challenge the power that be in a meaningful way. And even if that doesn't mean it doesn't rip the full fucking base out of the fiat war machine, it at least empowers people like Ian Carroll that I can send him money directly on Nostr because he's having real conversations with people about the structure of this thing and how fucking exploitative it is to the entirety of the American Republic. And like, if you're a liberal and sincerely believe that Bitcoin is this terrible far-right thing, like, I don't know what to tell you anymore. Like, you're so fucking lost that you like, liberalism doesn't mean anything at all to you other than a badge that you got given by a bunch of fucking murderers. So go fuck yourself. Sorry, like I said, I'm a little fired up and angry about stuff today. Well, and like, the thing I'm angry is like, I live in liberaltopia where everyone's like, that Nazi Trump, he's gonna hurt everyone. I'm like, your president literally just pardoned his entire family for their fucking crimes. And they're like, well, Trump did more crime. I'm like, I'm not playing whataboutism with you. I'm pointing out that he committed a real fucking crime.
Yeah.
And you don't give a fuck about it, do you? Nope. Sorry, guys.
No, it's
It's
real.
a safe space, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
it's a safe space. No apology necessary.